محافظة الإسكندرية، توجيه اللغة الإنجليزية. معكم اليوم نورة محمود إن شاء الله. So, are you excited to start our lessons today as I am? Okay, let's start our lessons for today. Are you ready? Let's go. Unit 4, into the past. Into the past. Okay, let's get back into the past and see what our grandparents built. So, can you guess what today's lessons are about? Yes, it's about the past, the historic places, monuments, and so on. So, it's very interesting to learn and study about historic places from the past, right? So, let's start.
عند العزة في
So,
الضلمة دي تعمل ايه؟
by the end of today's unit, I will read reviews of historic places in Egypt. I'll read a student's account of Dirash. I'll read information about a museum. I'll read a text about ancient objects. And we mean by ancient objects like pots, vases, statues from ancient cultures, right? Okay, I'll read a text about the stone circles of Senegambia. Of course, I'll write a paragraph describing historic places, a report about a historic site. I'll listen to a talk about a school trip. I listen to a talk about a historic place. I'll listen to an account of a trip to a museum. Okay, so we'll be having a lot of reading texts, a lot of listening audios, and all of these are interesting because English language is 4 skills, okay? Listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Okay, concerning the speaking part, I'll describe a historic place. I'll describe a telephone call asking for information for the museum, departure times, tickets, and so on. Okay, I speak with my partner and discuss about the effects of tourism. And coming to the language section, we will be studying the past continuous tense, inshallah. We will develop some life skills like critical thinking through the questions that come after the reading text. We will develop some values like responsibility. Okay, so let's start. Okay, a lot of photos. Okay, so my dear students, which of these places do you already know? And which places would you like to visit if you have the chance? Have a look at all of them and tell me a place that you already know. Ah, of course, the pyramids of Giza and the Sphinx, right? All of us know the pyramids of Giza and Sphinx. They are the oldest of the 7 ancient wonders of the world. Yes, they are amazing. Okay, what about other places? Okay, what do you know about this place? Dejane Mali. Okay, where is it located? Dejane Mali, okay, it's located in the west of Africa, the west coast of Africa. Mali is one of the poorest countries in the world. What do you think it's famous for? So, Dejane Mali is famous for its architecture. Can you see this building? It's beautiful. It has a lot of details. This mosque, actually it's a mosque, It was built in 1907. The Jananay Malay was the center for trading and Muslims' scholarships. Muslims used to travel to Malay to study. Nice information. What do you know about this place? It's called Leptis. Leptis. Leptis in Magna. Leptis in Magna. Okay, so where is it located? Yes, it's located in Libya. Okay, it's one of the most beautiful cities of the Roman Empire. It goes back to the Roman Empire. It has monuments, harbor, market, storehouse, and shops. So it's perfect place for tourists to come and visit, right? Okay. What do you know about this place here? Okay. Jamila. Jamila in Algeria. Of course, it goes back to the Roman Empire too. If you look at the photo here, you will find mixture of, yes, Roman architecture and mountains. Wow. It has theaters, temples, arches, and streets and houses. So it's a wonderful place to see the landscape mixed with the Roman architecture. Nice. What about this photo here? The last one. Baalbek. Baalbek. It's in Lebanon, right? So Baalbek is in Lebanon. It's known as the Sun City. Do you know who called it as the Sun City? Yes, it's Alexander the Great. He called it the City of the Sun. So now, after knowing some information about all of these places, which place do you think you would like to visit? Okay, so now we have a listening practice. But before listening, I want you to think of this question. How do you plan for a school trip? How do you plan for a school trip? If your school announced a school trip, okay, how do you arrange for this trip? What are the preparation? First, you need to know the time and the place of the trip, right? Second, you think of the things you want to take with you. You might, you might need a bottle of water, packed lunch, and a hat, right? Maybe some money. Okay, so I want you now to listen to a teacher. This teacher is giving rules to her students, okay, for their school trip. Let's start.
Lesson 1. Exercise 2. Listen to the teacher. What is she telling the class about?
I'm sure you're all excited about visiting the pyramids next Sunday. It's important that we plan our trip properly, so I need to talk to you about rules. On Sunday morning, you must arrive at school on time so that we can leave straight away. It's a long drive to Giza from the school. We're going to be away from school for the whole day, so you must bring a packed lunch. It's going to be very hot, so you must also bring a hat and a bottle of water. Of course, the pyramids are very important to the history and culture of our country. We must help to protect them. You mustn't climb the pyramids or sit on them. You mustn't drop litter. We must bring all of our rubbish home with us. So, are there any questions about the trip?
Okay, back again. Nice. Okay. Now, what is she telling the class about? What is the teacher telling the class about? Is it about holiday, a school trip, or a school project? Haha, yes, I can hear you. It's a school trip, right? Now, I want you to listen again, but this time while listening, I want you to take or write down some notes, okay? So, on a blank sheet of paper, I want you to write the rules. The rules she asked her students to do and the things she asked her students not to do. So, are you ready? Let's listen again and start.
Properly. So, I need to talk to you about rules. On Sunday morning, you must arrive at school on time so that we can leave straight away. It's a long drive to Giza from the school. We're going to be away from school for the whole day, so you must bring a packed lunch. It's going to be very hot, so you must also bring a hat and a bottle of water. Of course, the pyramids are very important to the history and culture of our country. We must help to protect them. You mustn't climb the pyramids or sit on them. You mustn't drop litter. We must bring all of our rubbish home with us. So, are there any questions about the trip?
Okay, so I bet now that you wrote down some notes, right? So let's check the answers together. Yes, students must bring a packed lunch. They must bring a hat and a bottle of water. They must help to protect the pyramids. They must bring all the rubbish home. What about the second part here? Yes, students mustn't climb the pyramids. They mustn't drop litter. Okay, that's great. Now, we should all help protect our culture. Why do you think it's important to protect our culture? Okay. Culture and the traditions allow us to connect with our history. Culture affects everything from how we greet each other, the way we say hi to each other, to what we eat, types of food, to what we wear, traditional costumes, to what we buy. Therefore, it's important to protect our culture. Now, the most enjoyable part of our session is the reading time. This is reading text number 1. Before reading, I want you to think, why do you think it's important to learn about the history of other countries? Of course, you might think, why do I need to learn about the history of other countries? I only need to know about the history of my country only. No, it's very important to know about other cultures and the history of other countries because we can learn about each other, right? Where people came from, what their traditions are, and different beliefs and their challenges. So it's easier to communicate with them if you know about their history. Time for reading. We have 3 readings here Magid from Cairo, Layla from Asyut, and Samir from Giza. Okay, let's listen to Magid. An amazing day out. I visited Abydos last week with my cousins. There is so much to see. Temples, amazing art, and ruins in the desert. I'm not usually very interested in history, but this place is awesome. It's really amazing. What about Layla? Get a guide. The ruins at the Karnak temple were amazing, and we really enjoyed our visit. It's a big place, so you need a few hours to walk around it. It's also a good idea to get a guide to tell you all about the history. What about the last one? Samir from Giza? I visited the Roman theater in Alexandria with my cousins last week. It's easy to imagine what life in Roman times was like here. There are also statues and the ruins of a temple in the museum there. It was great fun. Okay. Now, I want you to say which person said this. Which person visited a museum? Yes, it was Samir. Which person thinks he needs a few hours to see everything? Layla. Great. Which person doesn't usually like learning about old places? I can hear you. Yeah, it's Magid. What about number 4? Which person said he should ask someone to explain things about the place? Yes, it's Layla again. Which person thinks the ruins are really good? Samir. Well done. Which person visited Abydos with his family? Oh, Magid, that's great. So let's give ourselves a buzz. You did it. You finished the reading part. But one last thing I want from you. Do you think Magid was happy in Abydos? Do you think Magid was happy in Abydos? Yes, I think Magid was happy in Abydos. Although he isn't interested in history, he thinks the place is awesome. Now, it's time to study the vocabulary in the reading text. Historic. Historic. It's an adjective. This building is very old. It's historic. So historic here relates to buildings and monuments. But if I say I have read historical book, this means it relates to history. It's related to history, right? Historical book. So historic, historic. Arch, arch. It's a noun. What do you mean by arch? It's an entrance. It's an entrance like a door, a big door to another place. Or it might be a curved. Curved. It means a half circle. A half circle board, like the bridge. It's like half circle board, right? So can you think of an example? Yes, the first thing you see is the entrance to the city. The arch is very tall. Castle, castle. It's a noun. What is a castle? Castle is a place which has tall and strong walls. Can you think of an example? Yes, a king lived in a castle in the past. Well done. Mosque. Mosque. It's a noun. It's a place where Muslims pray. For example, Muslims pray at the mosque. Mosque. Museum. Museum. It's a noun. It's a place where we keep our valuable and historical objects. The museum is open daily. Ruins. Ruins. Ruins is a noun. Ruins are the broken parts that are left of a building or a city. For example, there are ruins of a temple at the Roman theater in Alexandria. If you go there, you can see these ruins, by the way. They are still there. Okay, at the Roman theater. Stadium. Stadium. It's a noun. It's a place where you can watch sports match. It's the place where you can watch sports match. If we put it in a sentence, the Roman enjoyed watching sports at the stadium. Stadium. Statue. Statue. It's a noun too. What do you mean by the word statue? Statue is the figure of a person. Not necessarily a person, but it might be an animal made of stone or any other hard material. For example, I saw statues at the museum. Temple. Temple. What do you mean by the word temple? It's a building that people use for religious purposes. For example, there are many visitors to the temple daily. Theater. Theater. It's a noun. It's an area. It's a place in which plays are performed. For example, I went to the theater to watch a play last week. Culture. Culture. It's a noun. What do you mean by culture? We explained it in unit, yes, we explained it in unit 3, right? So culture is a group of ideas and customs of a group of people or society. For example, it's important to learn about other cultures. And we discussed earlier why is it important to learn about other cultures and histories. Protect. Protect. It's a verb. It means to keep safe from harm or injury. We must protect historic places so that people can visit them in the future. We must protect. Pyramid. Pyramid. It's a noun. The pyramids of Giza are royal tombs for pharaohs. And we mean by the word tomb the place where they are buried. The pharaoh kings are buried there in the pyramids. Wow, this was amazing. So let's get some practice for the vocabulary we studied in the reading text. Now, exercise number 1. I want you to choose the correct answer. Number 1 is done for you. We walked under a big arch. before we enter the museum. This is an arch. Can you see it? Arch. Right. It's curved. It's like a semi or half circle. It's like a big door or an entrance, okay, to another place. Right. What about the second one? There is an important football game on at the stadium tonight. So, where can we watch football games or football matches? Yes, you are right, at the stadium. The last one here, this building became ruins or mosque after an earthquake. What happens after an earthquake? Yes, ruins. Now let's have some more facts. I want you to answer this exercise using the words from the exercise 1. So let's remember together. At which of the places can you watch a sports match? I can watch a sports match at the stadium, right? Number 2, which of the places can be an entrance, remember, to another place? Yes, arch. At which of the places do Muslims pray? Mosque. Right answer. Number 4, which of the places usually has very strong walls? Remember, the place where the king lives. It's a castle. Castle. Number 5, which of these might you see in a museum? Correct answer. Statue. Statue. Right. What about the last one? Which of these is not a complete building? Not a complete building. Do you remember? After an earthquake, so it's ruins. You did great job here, my dear students. So let's go. Can you remember this exercise? It's about must and mustn't. Let's have a look at the sentences quickly. Okay. Now, I want you to try this on your own. I want you to complete with must or mustn't. So we are going to complete the rules using must or mustn't. Number 1, look at the photo here. What can you see? Yes, it's a library, right? So what are the rules for this place? Number 1, you mustn't eat or drink, of course. What else? You must be quiet. Okay. What about this place? It's a school. Okay, so what are the rules for the school? Number 1, you must listen to the teacher. Number 2, you mustn't be noisy in class. What about this photo here? Yes, the other pyramids. So, are you allowed to touch the stones? No, I'm not allowed. So, you mustn't touch the stones. You must put your rubbish in the bin. Of course, because it's a historical place and a lot of tourists come to visit the pyramids, right? And we agreed that we should protect our culture and history. Okay, what about number 4? What is this place? Yes, it's a swimming pool. So what are the rules for this place? Yes, you must have a shower before you swim. Can you run near the pool? No, you mustn't run near the pool. Right? So we have mustn't, plus eat, verb in the infinitive, must plus be in the infinitive form. Here we have must plus listen, infinitive again, mustn't be, mustn't touch, must put, must have, mustn't run. Okay? More practice for mustn't, mustn't. It's a long walk to the temple, so you must all listen carefully. It's hot today, so you must or mustn't all wear a hat. It's hot, remember? So you must or mustn't. Yes, you must all wear a hat. You take some water too. Remember, it's so hot. So you must or mustn't take some water. Yes, you must take some water. So what about number 4? I want you to complete this. Cars must drive on this road so we can walk on it safely, or cars mustn't drive on this road. Of course, cars mustn't drive on this road. However, you must stay on the road. What about number 6 here? You must or mustn't walk. You must walk because it's a route for you. You must or mustn't run. You mustn't run there. When we arrive at the temple, you must or mustn't touch any of the buildings. We agreed before that we mustn't touch any historical places, so we mustn't touch. Okay, because it's very old. Okay, so we can eat our picnic lunches before we visit the temple. But you must or mustn't eat in the temple. Of course, it's not allowed to eat in the temple, so we mustn't eat in the temple. Finally, you must or you mustn't forget to write about what you see. You mustn't forget to write about what you see. This is, you're going to write in some kind of diary. It's like important information and memories that you will remember later, okay? So, I want you now to write down some notes for the rules, for the place, okay? You choose, okay? If you choose a museum, so what are the rules that you should stick to? If you choose a library, what are the rules? A school, what are the rules? And so on. I want you to write 4 rules. This is gonna be homework you can do at home. Now, let's check must and mustn't. We use must to talk about necessity and obligation, something that we must do, we have to do, okay? They must arrive on time. So, subject plus must plus verb in the infinitive form. We use mustn't to say that it's important not to do something. For example, you mustn't eat inside the library, right? This is not allowed. If you notice the form here, mustn't followed by the verb in the infinitive form. So it's subject plus mustn't plus verb in the infinitive form. Okay, let's get back again to reading number 2. The city of Jirash. The city of Jirash. What do you know about the city of Jirash? Okay, where is the city of Jirash? Yes, it's in Jordan. It's in Jordan. I do agree with you. الأردن. So Jirash is a Roman city in Jordan. Okay, these are places from the Jirash city. What do you think people did in Jirash 2,000 years ago? 2,000 years ago. Okay, this is very old. Okay, what about this photo? What's happening here? Yes, it's like some kind of a stadium, and we have like a match, right? So, Drash had 3 Roman theaters. The biggest theater is in the South Theater. 5,000 people can sit here. So this is a theater. Okay, what about this photo here? When you go there, the first thing you see is the entrance to the city, the arch again. The arch is very tall. You must buy a ticket before you go in, right? What about photo letter 3, C? Okay. The temple is on a hill. There is an amazing view of the city from here. I think it's important to learn about historic places around the world. We must protect them that people can visit in the future. And what about the last one? The last photo here? Jerash has 3 Roman theaters. The Romans enjoyed watching sport. This stadium is for Roman horse races. You can watch races there today. They are interesting activities that the Romans used to do in the Jerash city in Jordan. Do you think it's an interesting place to visit? Yes, I do agree with you. We might visit it someday in the future. Okay. After we read about Jerash city, now I want you to answer these questions. Number 1, what do you think historic means? We discussed this earlier in the vocabulary report, remember? Historic means important in history. But what about this one here? How old is the city of Jerash? Oh, it's very old. It's more than 2,000 years old. 2,000 years old. What do you think people did? What did people watch at the stadium? They enjoyed watching sports. How many people can sit in the theater? Yes, a large number, very large number. 5,000 people can sit in the theater. What can you see from the temple? You can see an amazing view of the city, okay, because it's built on a mountain. So the view there, the landscape is amazing. What about number 6? Why does Azza think it's important to protect historic places? We discussed this area, right? What about Azza? What does she believe? So that people can visit them in the future. That's why Azza thinks that it's important to protect historic places because people can visit these places in the future. Okay, amazing. Great job. Now, I want you to think about this. The city of Jerash is great. Explain. There are many reasons why the city of Jerash is great. First, it's more than 2,000 years old. Moreover, it has many historic places. It has theaters, stadiums, and temples. Okay? Wow, what an interesting one. So now it's time to speak. Look at the information below. Look at this photo here. Where do you think is this photo from? Where is it from? We have a ticket here, a museum of history. It says welcome on the text, and we have ancient objects, right? And here it's like a bar, okay? and we have titles. It's like a search engine, right? And we choose objects. Okay, here we have open every day, the opening times, Monday to Thursday, and the ticket prices. So, what do you think is this piece from? It's a web page, magazine, or a book? Yes, I do agree with you. It's a web page. Excellent. So, what are these objects? Tool, 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 vase, vase, put, put, pole, pole, papyrus, papyrus. It's a plant, right? That ancient Egyptian made paper from papyrus. Mask, mask, figure, figure, ring, ring, necklace, necklace, coin, coin. Now I want you to imagine that you are calling, okay, a museum, and you asking for some information on the telephone. Okay, I want you to work with your partner now. Okay, I want you to ask and answer. For example, what time? Okay, how can I help you? The person on the phone is asking you, how can I help you? Or, hello, can you tell me? He might be answering you, certainly, of course. You might say, I'd like to know what time does the museum open? You might be asking, can I buy a ticket online? Because this is a web page, remember? Okay, excellent. Some piece of language again. Language mixed with listening. I want you to listen. Okay, and while listening, write down some notes here.
What did you know at the museum? Last Tuesday, I went to the Museum of Islamic Art with my family. While we were waiting to go into the museum, I saw my friend Amir with his mom and dad. As my parents were buying the tickets, Amir and I decided what we wanted to see first. When we were looking around the museum, Amir and I found some tall doors with amazing designs on them. They were very interesting, so I wanted a photo. I put my bag on the floor while I was taking the photo. We stayed in the museum for 2 hours before we went home. As we were travelling home, Amir phoned me. He had my bag. I left it in the museum. We got home an hour later. Amir arrived while I was taking off my shoes. He gave me my bag.
Okay, that's great. Okay, so while we were waiting to go into the museum, I saw my friend, Amir. So I want you to notice the verb here. It's were plus wearing, so it's past continuous. Okay, so this was the action that was continuous, in progress, that was happening, right? So what interrupted? What cut this action? That I saw my friend Amir. If you look at the verb here, it's in the past form. What about number 2? What did you write? As my parents were buying the texts, as my parents were buying the texts, okay, Amir and I decided what we wanted to see first. The first action here is the long one, as my parents were buying. Okay, so what is the short action, or what is the action that interrupted that? Amir and I decided. So this is in the past simple. What about number 3? While we were looking around the museum, Amir and I, excellent, found some tall doors with amazing designs on them. This is the long action, the continuous action, and this is the short action, the action that interrupted it, and it's in the past simple. What about number 4? I put, this is in the past simple. I put my bag on the floor. This is the short action. While I was taking a photo. This is the long action. This is the past continuous. As we were traveling home, this is the long action in the past continuous. Amir phoned me. This is the short action that interrupted it. And of course, it's in the past simple. Now I want you to listen to a dialogue between Amira and Hana. They are having a class debate, a class discussion, okay? Why they think tourism is good for historic places. Why? Okay? And who thinks it's good? Who thinks it's bad? And of course, while listening, I want you to answer these questions here using the words in the box. I don't agree. I don't think so. I think it's okay. I see what you mean, and maybe. So don't forget to hold your pen and write down the answers.
To keep away eyes from the sun. Sitting on ancient ruins. Is tourism good for historic places? Yes, Samira, I think it is. Tourists bring money to an area. This helps the local people. I don't think so. A lot of the money goes to big companies, not local people. Maybe, but some holiday companies help the environment and the local people. I don't agree that tourism helps the environment. Tourists drop rubbish and damage places in other ways, like sitting on ancient ruins. I see what you mean, but most tourists behave well. They know it's important to protect historic places.
Okay.
Student's Book, Unit 4, Lesson 5, Exercise 2. Listen.
So let's discuss the answers together. Okay. So what about number 2 here? Yes, I don't think so. I don't think so. This when you don't agree with someone. Okay, you say, I don't think so. Maybe, number 3, maybe. This is when you are not sure about something and you are not either with or against. I don't agree. I don't agree. This means that you are against an idea. You don't agree on what someone says. The last one, I see what you mean. This means that you understand what someone says, and of course, it's for agreeing on someone's ideas. I don't agree. I don't think so. I think it's, I see what you mean, and maybe. Okay, this reading, I want you to do alone at home. Okay, and after you finish the reading, I want you to answer these questions here. Okay. And now it's time to play a game. Let's end our lesson for today by playing a game. Okay, I want you to choose 2 numbers between 1 and 6. You might choose 1 and 5, 2 and 4, or maybe 3 and 4. Just choose any 2 numbers, okay, and make sentences with as and while. Okay, let's take, for example, okay, 2. I choose 2. While I was reading a book. What happened? My friend phoned me. While I was reading a book, my friend phoned me. What is the longer action here? It's reading the book. What is the shorter action that interrupted the longer action that the phone, okay, that his friend phoned him? Okay, what about number 5? Okay, we can combine it using when. We can say, I dropped my pencil. Okay, I dropped my pencil. And this sentence you can say, okay, you put it in the past continuous. I was doing my homework. So, as I was doing my homework, what happened? I dropped my pencil. This is the longer action where it's doing homework, and the shorter action is dropping the pencil. Okay, my dear students, we came to the end of our lesson today. I really enjoyed being with you, and I hope you enjoyed you too. Okay, إن شاء الله ألقاكم على خير الأسبوع القادم الأربعاء الساعة 8 وفي حصة أو درس جديد من دروس اللغة الإنجليزية. كان معكم نورة محمود حسن. Thank you and bye bye.